You ever notice how loud the world gets when you stop explaining yourself? That silence hits different. At first, it feels uncomfortable, like you owe everybody a reason for your growth, a receipt for your peace, a breakdown of your moves. But then something shifts. You realize the moment you stop talking, everything started aligning. See, I learned that explanation is a form of permission. And once you stop asking permission, life starts responding to you different. When you explain, you hand your power to opinions that never invested in your vision. When you go quiet, you keep that power. You protect the energy that's supposed to build, not convince. Most people don't want to understand you. They want to measure you. They want to fit your journey into what makes sense to them. And the second you stop explaining, they get uncomfortable because now they got to watch instead of judge from the sidelines. Now they got to deal with results instead of rumors. I came to understand this. If they don't walk with you at 3 a.m. when doubt talking loud, they don't deserve a press conference at noon when things start working. Some paths only make sense once you're already miles down the road. Explaining too early just invites confusion, envy, and distraction. When I stopped explaining, my focus sharpened. I stopped rehearsing conversations that were never going to change anybody's mind. I stopped breaking my vision into bite-sized pieces for people who weren't hungry. I put that time into the grind, into the craft, into becoming undeniable. Silence don't mean weakness. Silence means confidence. It means you trust the blueprint even when nobody else see the full design. It means you understand that validation before execution is dangerous. Most dreams die in conversation, not in effort. And here's the part nobody tell you. The same people demanding explanations today will later say they always believed in you. Let them talk. Let them wonder. Let them guess. Your job is not to clarify. Your job is to elevate. When you stop explaining, you start listening. You hear your instincts again. You hear what God, purpose, and discipline been trying to tell you without all that outside noise. You move cleaner. You move intentional. Every step got weight to it. I had to learn that not everybody gets a front row seat to your evolution. Some people only qualify for the highlight reel, not the behind the scenes. And that's okay. You don't owe access to anyone who can't handle the responsibility of understanding you. So if you've been feeling misunderstood, good. That means you outgrowing the room. If people been questioning your silence, let them. That means you finally chose progress over approval. The real ones will recognize the growth without an explanation. The rest were never meant to understand. Stay focused. Stay solid. Let your results speak in a language no explanation could ever translate. Silence is power, but it takes maturity to understand that. At first, you think being silent means you losing control of the narrative, like people gonna fill in the gaps with their own stories. And they will. But that's the point. When you stop explaining, you stop chasing narratives that were never yours to begin with. You realize your energy was never meant to be spent correcting misunderstandings. It was meant to be invested in execution. Every time you explain yourself, you leak in focus. You break in concentration to convince somebody who not even committed to your outcome. That's time you could have spent sharpening your craft, learning the game deeper, building something solid. Silence keeps your mind clear. It keeps your rhythm intact. It keeps you from second guessing the vision that was given to you, not them. I had to learn that explanation is often fear, dressed up as clarity. Fear of being judged, fear of being doubted, fear of being misunderstood. But fear don't disappear when you explain. It just changes shape. Because the more you explain, the more opinions you invite. And opinions multiply faster than progress if you let them. Silence forces discipline. It forces you to be accountable to yourself instead of the crowd. When nobody knows your next move, you move with intention. You stop performing. You stop seeking applause for effort instead of results. You start building quietly, brick by brick, knowing that the foundation matters more than the noise around it. A lot of people confuse access with loyalty. Just because someone asks questions don't mean they deserve answers. Some people ask so they can compare. Some ask so they can doubt. Some ask so they can talk. Silence protects you from all of that. It draws a line between those who support your growth and those who just curious about it. When you stop explaining, your intuition get louder. You start trusting your internal compass again. You make decisions faster, cleaner, without the weight of outside approval. You stop outsourcing confidence. You stop needing agreement to feel grounded. That's when you realize power was never about being understood. It was about being aligned. There's a strength that comes from letting people misunderstand you. It tests your resolve. It asks you one question every day. Do you believe in what you're building enough to keep going without applause? Silence answers that question without words. It proves you're serious, not just vocal. People will say you changed when you stop explaining. And you did. You changed from someone seeking validation to someone protecting momentum. You changed from reacting to every comment to responding only to purpose. Growth demands that kind of shift. You can't carry everybody's expectations and still move forward at full speed. Silence also teaches patience. You learn to let time do the explaining. You learn that consistency will reveal more than any speech ever could. When results start stacking, explanations become irrelevant. The work introduces itself. The progress speaks in a language that don't require translation. Protecting your energy is a form of self-respect. Every explanation costs something. It costs focus, confidence, and sometimes peace. Silence saves all three. It keeps your mind sharp and your vision intact. It allows you to move like a strategist instead of a defender. Not everybody is meant to know your process. Some people only understand outcomes, and that's fine. You don't need witnesses to the grind. You need commitment to the mission. Silence gives you that space. It creates a bubble where growth can happen without interference. And when the world finally notices, when the questions come back louder than before, you'll realize something changed long before they did. You didn't need their understanding to become who you were meant to be. You just needed the discipline to stay quiet long enough to finish the work, to stay focused when nobody clapped, to trust the vision even when the room went silent, to move with purpose while the noise faded into the background. Growth don't ask for permission. It just happened when the work aligned with the vision. A lot of people stall their destiny waiting on green lights from people who never owned a lane. They look for approval like it's a requirement, like somebody else got to stamp the move before it's valid. But the truth is, permission is a trap. The moment you start asking, you slow yourself down. I learned early that waiting for validation is the same as waiting for comfort. And comfort never built anything legendary. If you need everyone to understand your next step before you take it, you already behind. Real growth happens in moments where nobody clapping, nobody agreeing, nobody even noticing. Results don't argue. They don't need debate. They don't need explanations or long speeches. Results just stand there and force respect. That's why I stopped trying to convince people of my potential. Potential is invisible to anyone not willing to invest time. Execution is what people recognize. When you move without permission, you step into responsibility. There's no one to blame, no crowd to hide behind. If it worked, it's on you. If it don't, it's still on you. That accountability sharpen you. It make you more intentional. It force you to study, plan, and commit at a higher level. Most people ask for validation because they're scared of standing alone. They want backup in case it fails. But greatness been a lonely road since day one. Every original idea feel crazy before it feel obvious. If you need agreement to move, you'll always arrive late. I watch people talk themselves out of blessings because somebody else didn't see it yet. They let doubt that wasn't theirs redirect the whole route. And later, when the opportunity gone, they say it wasn't meant to be. It was meant to be. They just waited too long for permission. Results change the conversation. When the work show up consistent, when the numbers stack, when the progress visible, the same voices that question you get quiet, not because they understand now, but because they can't deny it. That's the power of letting results speak. You don't need to explain your grind to anyone who never bled for it. They don't know the nights you stayed disciplined while distractions was loud. They don't know the sacrifices you made when shortcuts looked easier. Validation from people who didn't carry the weight don't mean much anyway. Moving without permission builds confidence that can't be shaken. You start trusting yourself. You start believing in your instincts. You stop looking outside for confirmation and start looking within for direction. That's when your steps get solid and your pace gets steady. Some people only respect success once it's undeniable. Let them. You're not here to educate everybody on your process. You're here to complete it. When results arrive, explanations become unnecessary. The work already answered the questions. I realize that permission is often a disguise for fear of failure. People want assurance before risk, but assurance only comes after the risk been taken. You move first, then the proof follows, not the other way around. When you stop asking for validation, you free up mental space. You stop rehearsing conversations that never matter. You stop worrying about reactions that don't affect the mission. You put that energy into refining your skill and strengthening your discipline. Results don't come from being liked. They come from being consistent. They come from showing up when motivation gone and excuses loud. They come from believing in something before it makes sense to anyone else. If you chasing approval, you chasing something that move every day. People change their minds. Opinions shift, but results stay solid. They stand on work, not words. And once you understand that, you stop seeking permission and start building proof, step by step, quietly, relentlessly. Being misunderstood used to bother me. I used to feel that pressure to clear things up, to explain my intentions, to make sure people knew my heart. But at some point, I realized something important. Misunderstanding is often the price of elevation. When you start growing past familiar versions of yourself, people lose their reference point, and instead of updating their perspective, they question your change. If everybody understands you, you're probably not moving forward fast enough. Growth shifts your priorities, your language, your pace. You stop reacting to the same things. You stop chasing the same validation. That gap between who you were and who you becoming is where misunderstanding lives. And that space is necessary. Most people only understand you based on access. When your moves get quieter, when your circle gets smaller, when your focus gets sharper, they feel excluded. And instead of asking why you changed, they assume you changed on them. But the truth is, you didn't change on them, you changed for you. Elevation requires separation. You can't level up and stay fully accessible to everyone who knew the old version of you. Some relationships were built around convenience, not alignment. When alignment shifts, misunderstanding shows up. That's not failure. That's progress. I had to accept that clarity don't always bring peace. Sometimes explanation just creates more confusion. People hear you through the filter of their own limits. If your growth exposes their comfort zone, no amount of explaining will make it feel right to them. Being misunderstood tests your commitment. It asks you if you're willing to be alone with your vision. It asks you if you trust what you're building enough to keep going without support. That's a real checkpoint. A lot of people turn back right there because they want company more than completion. The higher you go, the fewer people can relate to your altitude. That don't make you better than them. It just means your view changed. And when your view change, your decisions change. Your silence change. Your discipline change. From the outside, that look like distance. From the inside, that feel like focus. People will project their fears onto your growth. They'll say you think you too good. They'll say you acting different. What they really saying is your evolution makes them uncomfortable. And that discomfort has nothing to do with you. Misunderstanding teaches emotional independence. You stop relying on external agreement to feel secure. You stop needing to be liked in every room. You become okay with being respected later instead of understood now. Some people only recognize growth in hindsight. They need time to connect the dots. While you building, they confused. While you grinding, they guessing. When it finally come together, they say it makes sense now, but it always made sense to you. Elevation also reveals who really sees you. The ones meant to walk with you don't demand constant explanations. They observe your consistency. They respect your silence. They trust your direction, even when they don't have all the details. You don't owe everyone clarity. You owe yourself honesty. Honesty about what you want. Honesty about what you outgrowing. Honesty about what you're willing to sacrifice to become who you envision. Being misunderstood is not a sign you failing. It's often a sign you ahead. Ahead of conversations. Ahead of expectations. Ahead of old definitions that no longer fit. So if people don't get you right now, let them not get you. Stay solid. Stay disciplined. Stay committed to the version of yourself that required courage to build. Understanding will come later, or it won't. Either way, your elevation was never supposed to wait on approval, agreement, or comfort.